The pyramid, everything you see might be a lie. Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow morning. You unlock your phone. Open your banking app. Your paycheck is there. Your mortgage account looks stable. Your retirement savings seem fine. Everything appears normal. But what if I told you this calm is a carefully crafted illusion? What if everything you thought was secure is actually balanced on a fragile tower? What if the entire global financial system operates like the most infamous scam in history, but it's perfectly legal? Today, I'm going to show you something most people never see. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's start with a name you might know, Charles Ponzi. In 1920, this Italian immigrant promised investors something irresistible, a 50% return in just 90 days. People lined up to give him money. Early investors got paid exactly as promised. Word spread. More money poured in. It seemed like genius. A financial miracle. But here's what was really happening. Ponzi wasn't investing the money. He was simply paying early investors with cash from new investors. It was a pyramid. Each new layer needed exponentially more participants to keep it alive. For a while, it worked beautifully. Ponzi became a celebrity. People trusted him with their life savings. Then reality hit. The math caught up. There weren't enough new investors to pay the old ones. The pyramid collapsed. Thousands lost everything. Ponzi went to prison. Now here's the disturbing part. Remove the criminal label. Remove the fraud charges. What's the fundamental structure left? A system where early participants profit from the contributions of later participants. A system that only survives if new money constantly flows in. Sound familiar? It should. Because that's exactly how our global economy works. Let me break down the modern pyramid for you. Governments around the world spend trillions of dollars every year. But here's the catch, they don't have that money. They're not pulling cash from some giant vault. They're borrowing it from future generations who literally haven't been born yet. That national debt you hear about? It's real. And someone, someday, will have to pay it. Probably your children. Or their children. Think corporations grow by creating amazing products? Sometimes. But increasingly, their growth comes from financial engineering. Stock buybacks. Executive bonuses funded by debt. Borrowed money that enriches those at the top while pushing costs into the future. This is where it gets really interesting. Banks have a magical power. They create money from nothing. Seriously. Here's how it works. You deposit $1,000 in your bank. Through something called fractional reserve banking, that bank can now loan out $10,000, $20,000, even more. Where did that extra money come from? Nowhere. It's created the moment the loan is issued. On paper, everyone looks richer. In reality, it's just promises stacked on promises, a tower of credit built on a foundation of faith. And at the bottom sits everyone else. Workers. Savers. Borrowers. You take out mortgages where you pay mostly interest for decades. Student loans that follow you for life. Credit cards where the minimum payment barely touches the principal. You're not climbing the pyramid. You are the pyramid's foundation. And here's the most unsettling truth. Money itself is largely an illusion. Those bills in your wallet? They're not backed by gold anymore. They're backed by collective belief. By trust. By faith that tomorrow, someone else will accept them. And trust can evaporate in seconds. History is littered with moments when the trust collapsed and the pyramid fell. 1720. The South Sea Bubble. Investors wiped out overnight. 1929. The Great Depression. Stock markets crashed. Banks failed. Millions lost their life savings. Entire families destroyed. 1980s Japan. At the peak, Tokyo's real estate was valued higher than all of California. Then it crashed. Decades later, Japan still hasn't recovered. 2008, the global financial crisis. The housing pyramid collapsed. Trillions of dollars vanished. Millions lost their homes, their jobs, their futures. But here's what's fascinating. After 2008, what was the solution? Central banks printed money. Trillions of dollars. They called it quantitative easing. What it really meant, creating money from nothing to cover old debts and prop up failing banks. Who benefited? Banks. Corporations. The wealthy. Who paid? You. Through inflation. Through stagnant wages. Through housing prices that skyrocketed while your paycheck stayed flat. The pyramid didn't die in 2008. It was rebuilt, bigger, more unstable, and more dependent on your belief than ever. Let me show you 3 time bombs currently ticking in our global pyramid. Your pension. Social Security? They're not sitting in a vault waiting for you. They're funded by young workers today contributing money right now. It's a chain. It only works if there are always more young people than retirees. But look at the demographics. Japan, Italy, Germany, even the United States, fewer young people, more retirees. The base of the pyramid is shrinking while the top grows heavier. In Japan, they now sell more adult diapers than baby diapers. That's not a joke. That's a warning. Housing has always been considered a safe investment. But prices aren't based on intrinsic value, they're based on what the next buyer can afford to pay. Every housing boom needs fresh buyers at the bottom willing to pay more than the last buyer. When wages can't keep up, when affordability collapses, the base shrinks. And the pyramid shakes. Global debt now exceeds $300 trillion. That's 3 times the entire world's annual economic output. And what's the solution to too much debt? More debt. More borrowing from the future. More promises that someone, somewhere, eventually will pay. It's a Ponzi scheme on steroids. And everyone knows it. But no one can stop it, because stopping means collapse. Let's be brutally honest about who profits from this system. Banks create money from nothing and charge you interest on it. You work for months to pay back loans that were created with a few keystrokes. Corporations use cheap debt to buy back their own stock, inflating prices and enriching executives while actual productivity stagnates. Politicians promise generous benefits, healthcare, pensions, infrastructure, all funded by future taxpayers who have no say in today's decisions. And you? You're the foundation. You work. You pay taxes. You save money that loses value to inflation. You borrow at high rates and save at low rates. You play by the rules of a game rigged against you. Ponzi never had the powers of a government. He couldn't print money. He couldn't enforce taxes. He couldn't wage wars or rewrite laws when things went wrong. But the logic is identical. No pyramid can expand forever. The difference is scale and legitimacy. Ponzi's scheme lasted months. This one has lasted decades. But time doesn't change mathematics. Eventually, every pyramid runs out of new money to feed the top. Every generation believes their bubble is different. That somehow, they've figured out how to break the laws of mathematics. In the 1920s, they said the stock market had reached a permanently high plateau. Then came 1929. In the 2000s, they said housing prices would never fall nationwide. Then came 2008. Today, we're told central banks have everything under control. That technology changes everything. That modern monetary theory means debt doesn't matter. But pyramids don't care about theories. They care about math. And the math is simple. You cannot borrow infinitely from the future. You cannot create wealth by printing money. You cannot support a growing top with a shrinking base. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it rhymes. And right now, We're in a very familiar verse. So what do you do with this information? First, stop believing the system exists for your benefit. It doesn't. It exists to transfer wealth upward while keeping the base stable enough to keep contributing. Second, build real wealth outside the pyramid. Skills that can't be inflated away. Networks based on genuine value. Tangible assets. Diversified investments. Knowledge that empowers you to make better decisions. Third, understand that you can't stop the machine, but you can stop letting it control you. The global economy may not legally be a pyramid scheme, but structurally, it mirrors one perfectly. It survives only as long as the base keeps feeding it. When new money dries up, when confidence breaks, when the math finally catches up, the fall will be brutal. The question isn't whether the pyramid will fall. The question is, will you be standing on it when it does? Pay attention. Learn. Act. Because the clock is ticking.